I'm going to talk teaching a quilt. So even if you're not quilting the favorite sweater quilt, use this video to help guide you in how to finish your quilt top. So how to baste it, how to quilt it, and how to bind it. There are other methods that I'm going to cover tonight, but this is sort of the basic how to. I'm just going to turn on my chat function, my live chat. I'm guessing Joe with us. I'm hoping Joe is with us. If you are, give me a shout, tell me, say hi. So basically, the easiest way to quilt and finish a quilt is actually someone who has a long arm machine. And the long arm machine, they're able to, it's a really big machine. They put it on a frame. I've never used one myself, and they can program in. That's where you see all those like fancy patterns. So they can program in a fancy pattern. Personally, for myself, anything bigger than a throw quilt, I will send to a long armor because my machine does not have the throat space necessary to. Hello, Joe. Good evening. My machine does not have the throat space, that space in between where the needle and the body of the machine is, to jam anything larger than a throw quilt. Some people just like doing it. They don't like doing this step, and that's totally okay. We have potty mouth quilting that has a drop-off point for us. We've got cards for a bunch of other people. I will put all of their names in the chat and their contact information. So if that's the way that you want to finish your quilt, that's totally fine. If, however, you would like to quilt it yourself, this is what you're going to need. So to start off with, you will need, we're going to pretend this is my quilt top. You will need batting, which we carry at the store. Ours comes in packages, and then backing. You generally want your batting to be at least 4 inches all the way around, larger, especially if you're sending it to a long armor. And you want your backing to have some overhang as well. And this just helps keep everything sort of lined up. And the other, now, to baste, there are 2 methods to baste your quilt. And what this does is you're making a quilt sandwich. You're going to take your top and your batting and your backing and put it all together. And you need to keep this package all together. So there are 2 different methods of doing that. You can either use basting pins, which are curved safety pins. Can you see the curve really well on that? Not really. It is curved. I swear to God, it's curved. You're supposed to put these every like 2 inches or something like that. I have zero patience for these. I've used them in a pinch. I like to use spray based. This is a glue based that is repositionable, and it's just faster in my mind. So what you would do, you can roll your quilts, and I've got 2 seconds. Am I like not good on the internet? Hang on a second. No, I am good on the internet. I don't know. This is one of those big long tubes from the store. It is, I've rolled my quilt onto there, and what you do is you actually roll your top on. If this was my top, so you would roll your top on, and then you sort of slowly unroll it as basting. Oops, goodness. Hang on, I'm going to yell at people. Are you guys on the internet? Okay, I've taken myself off of my my Wi-Fi, so we're going to see if this works. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay, you would, I don't know what's wrong with this tonight. Sorry, folks. You would have this rolled, and then, let's see. Okay, I'm very sorry. Let's see if I've got this right now. No, I've still got on the internet. I don't want to be on the internet. Not on the internet. I will try to sum up what I've been talking about, because this is choppy. So we're making this quilt sandwich. What you would do is have this rolled up on your tube. So you would spray a little bit and then pat it down and then spray and then pat it down and spray and pat it down and spray and pat it down. Because this is such a small piece, I'm just going to spray a little bit to keep it in place. And then I like to put pins so I can see where the top is. But you would turn around and do the same thing to spray this. And if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter because this is just a sample for me. So again, spray. Now to the actual quilting. I have, there are a couple different methods to mark out the quilting. The easiest thing to do is just straight line quilting. And you can make it more interesting by doing a crosshatch or going diagonally. Generally, there is a mathematical formula to follow based on your block size and how many blocks you have and how big your quilt is. And I am not experienced enough a quilter to know what that is. I generally try to pick something that is visually pleasing. I like to use Instagram and see what other people have done and sort of copy that. And when all else fails, that, you know, diagonal, generally I do it like an inch apart. So there are a couple different things. And to go along with the fork that you use for your zipper pulls, the knife you use for your quilting, you can use the back of a butter knife similar to a, in the same way as you would a hair marker to mark your lines. Now, personally, my eyes can't see that. So I use a combination of the water soluble pencils and friction markers. If you had very light fabric that you wanted to gift right away, a hair marker or the back of that butter knife is probably a better bet. Joe, are you back with us? I'm back with you. I'm very sorry about that. So in this case, I can use my guide, and I only need to make one line. You would use a ruler. I should have grabbed one. And this block is square because I cut it square. And you would mark your line for quilting. And can you see there? I've got that line marked. On my machine, I have put my walking foot, which is this thing. Some machines have walking foots that are external attachments. Some machines have walking foots that are integrated and you just hook it onto the back of your regular foot. What this does is feed the fabric evenly through the machine. So it's like having two sets of feed dogs. When you are quilting, you want to quilt with a longer stitch. So the opposite of piecing. Hang on, I'm going to turn this on. So somewhere around a 3.5 is what you would do. You start off the edge, and let me see if I can get this better to look. There. So you start, let me see, hang on, from the side. There we go. So you start off the fabric, or off on the batting. And again, you don't back stitch. And then you would follow that line. Off the quilt. Ooh, and something is not right with my tension here, but that's okay because this is just a practice piece. And now, if I wanted to, this bar hooks in here, and I can use this. The smallest I can measure, it looks like, is 3/4 of an inch. I can use this bar to measure an inch. So I would put the bar on my line, and then I could quilt an inch over from my next line. And that way I don't have to mark the whole thing. If you were trying to do something more intricate, you would want to, ooh, I don't know what's happening there. Something not good. Something really not good. That's okay. And I'll do one more here. Let's see if this works. So you can see I've got those lines quilted on there, and that's the simplest, easiest way of quilting. It really, and it looks quite nice at the end of the day. Now, bring you back over here for a second. So any questions about this, let me know. I'm going to see if my all chat. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. It's on live chat. So, you've basted, you've quilted. Now for the binding. And there's two different, there's more than two, but I will show. So, once you've done this, you'll notice that quilting does shrink your fabric. So you may have to square up your quilt. I'm going to cut this quickly over on my cutting table. So you want to cut off your excess batting. Ta-da! There's my little square. So there's two methods of attaching batting or attaching binding. If you are attaching, if you want to attach it by machine, which is the method that I usually use, especially for things that aren't going to be seen, you would use double fold, and so that that looks like that. And what you would do is you would sew, and actually I'll just demonstrate this quickly. I'm not going to get to, I don't think we're going to get to show how we attach everything. It's okay. I'm talking to myself. Okay. So what you would do, and I would do this with, not with my walking foot normally, but this requires me to use a screwdriver to take it off. So you would sew in that first fold on the right side of your quilt. So we're going to pretend that I went all the way around. And then what you do is you would fold, and this should actually be right at the edge. So you would fold it over, and then from the wrong side, you have this part folded so the raw edge is encased, and you've now got this part folded on the back, and you would attach this like so. I'm not going to do it because I need this piece of binding, so I can show you Now, the other method, which is what I do when I have a piece that I'm going to gift to somebody because it's a nicer finish, is you attach the binding by machine and then you sew by hand. So if you are doing that, and I wanted to show this so I can show how you're binding, I would start at a corner close to the bottom. Your binding is folded in double. The raw edge is going to match the raw edge of your quilt. And at a 1/4 inch, you're going to sew all the way around. When you get to get a mitered corner, when you get to the corner of your piece, you're going to lift up your needle. You're going to pull your piece off. You're going to take your fabric, your binding, and you're going to fold it back at I guess that's a 45-degree angle, and then back to continue parallel along the edge of that quilt. And you might be going, well, it's not locked into place with stitching. Okay, because you're going to end up stitching it down by hand afterwards. So again, when you get to that 1/4 edge, take your quilt off, flip this back at 45 degrees, so it's diagonal, and then back over 45 degrees again so that it's parallel to the quilt edge. And now, why I'm going all the way around, because I want to show you how to join this. I am honestly not great at this part. And this piece might be too small for me to have done this properly. That's okay. Okay, we're going to pretend that, that's all nicely locked into place. So you've got these two, let me come back over here. You've got these two open ends of binding. What you need to do is sew them together, and you have to find a spot. There's math how to do this properly, and I'm just not great at it. If I pull it down here more, there, hopefully you can see that better. So I usually just push them until they meet. And what you need to do is turn them so that this piece opens. You're gonna have to open them both up. This piece opens up like this, and this piece is going to scooch and go on top like that. So again, this piece is going to open up and flip, and this piece is going to open up. If I can actually open it up or not. There we go. This piece is going to open up and go like that. So they cross each other. One goes horizontally and the other one goes vertically. And then you're going to sew a diagonal line so that once they're closed again, they are flat. I don't think I have enough room here to do this, so I'm not going to demonstrate it, unfortunately. Sorry. And then what you would do is you would turn your binding so it's actually narrow. So at the end of all of this, your binding is joined. Actually, you know what? No, I lied. I am going to attempt this so I could show everybody. Back over here we go for a moment. We'll see if I can make this happen. And usually I just baste this in place because otherwise I invariably make a mistake, need to rip it out, and then have to sew another line. Yeah, it's really close to where it needs to be. So no, this is not going to work. Sorry. I tried. There's not enough space There's not enough space here for me to maneuver. So what this means is make sure you leave yourself a good, like, 8 to 10 inches to be able to maneuver that binding into place. And what I was saying is once you're done, you're going to turn the binding towards the back. So you've got this nice narrow binding on the front, and then on the back, this is an encased edge because of how we folded it. And then with a slip stitch, you just sew that down. And then you've also got your mitered corners as well. I find that ironing really helps, and this is where wonder clips help me because I wonder clip everything into place. So that is, and I'm sorry for the beginning of this video, that is a very quick, very brief, basic understanding of how to finish. Oh, this stupid thing. There, sorry. Basic, brief, how to finish your quilt top. If anybody has any questions, we are continuing to monitor these videos after they are live. I'm doing the Emily and Caitlin thing now. There we go. Okay. Nope. We are continuing to monitor these videos. Please put your questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. You can join our Facebook social group. I am active in that group, and I'm happy to answer questions there as well. If you're on Facebook, you get a little bit more immediate of a response than here. I hope that everyone has enjoyed this quilt along, and join us starting next week. We're going to be doing some one-off Christmas sew-alongs and knit-alongs. So I think there's a combination of live and pre-recorded videos that we'll be doing for the next 4 or 5 weeks. I hope, again, everyone has enjoyed this, that you've learned from it, and we will talk soon. Thanks for joining me.